Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Happy 4th of July. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton, the community spiritual leader here at Golden Gate. I'm glad to be back with you after 2 weeks of extremely hot vacation in Washington State, while it was very temperate and normal here. But we did make it back in one piece and well hydrated in spite of that. And I have something I want to share with you this morning. Before we begin the service, I would like to introduce to you, let's see if I can do this here. I would like to introduce to you, if this works, the newest member of our Golden Gate family. Can you see this now? Ah, okay. I hope you can see this. Can you see it, Karen? Give me a nod.
Yes.
You see pictures? This is Michael Saker, Reverend Carol's son, and this is William Elliott Saker, who was born just a few days ago. They are home now. So this is the newborn baby with Mama, Terry, and both of them passed out over here. And it's just a thrill and delight to know that he is here with us now. And Reverend Carol is there and over the moon, completely and totally over the moon, as you might imagine. Only Carol can be. So we're celebrating the birth of the new little fellow as we come into our 4th of July holiday today. And we're also in a new month. So because we're in a new month in July, our theme for July is Pulled by Vision. And I want to talk about vision today, particularly the vision of Ernest Holmes, the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, the vision of the Founding Fathers, the vision of Abraham Lincoln. It's a lot of stuff to pack into a few minutes, but I will try to do it gracefully. And I hope that you will hang in there with me as we look at what a rich, amazing inheritance we have. Not to say things can't be better, but it is quite profound what we come from and what we're heir to and what we're trying to be living examples of. So thank you for being here with us this morning. If this is your first Sunday, welcome. Wherever you are, whoever you are, wherever you may be on your pathway of life, you're welcome here. And for all of those of you that come regularly, woohoo! Happy 4th. Glad you're here with us. And so this morning, we have our dear music director, Karen Drucker, here with us, and Marilyn Letzos as our prayer practitioner. And so right now, I'm going to turn this over to Karen to start us off.
Good morning, everyone. Happy 4th of July to you. So this is pretty amazing. I'm a very organized person, obviously, because I found a piece of music that someone sent me in 1989. So whoever Elizabeth Harris is, I have this song that she wrote for her, I think it was for her prac training or something. So this is the Triumphal Hymn of Science of Mind, sung to the tune of Battle Hymn of the Republic. So we're going to get very 4th of July-ish here today. So I'll have you sing the chorus with me, but it goes like this. There is a universal power that's expressing now through me, and I revel in the freedom of this vast infinity. I accomplish what I say I will. I live effectively, for I am one with God. When we know that mighty Spirit acts through you and acts through me, then we speak our word and co-create our own reality. Limitations drop away, and we are joyously set free. Empowered now are we. Here's your part, you sing. I am God with one. All right, so I'll teach this to you once and then we'll do it again. I am one with God's expression. You are one with God's perfection. We are one as God's connection. Empowered now are we. We'll come back to that later. I speak my my word and treatment, and the healing now is done. I commit to life, rejoicing in my work and having fun. I'm aligned with God's perfection, for I know that we are one. I am empowered now. I am one with God's expression. I am one with God's expression. You are one. You are one with God's perfection. We are one. We are one as God's connection. Empowered now are we. There's more. All life is circulation, freely give and then receive. Love and money, praise and gratitude, as much as we conceive. We are thankful for this knowing. We don't have to just believe, because we know we're one with God. It gets even bigger. I am one with God's expression. You are one with God's perfection. We are one as God's connection. Empowered now are we. There's a place of perfect stillness that is deep within my soul, that allows for my renewal. It's a place where I'm made whole. As I listen in the silence, I achieve my every goal, 'cause I am one with God. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. And so we let it be. That's your 4th of July song for today. Elizabeth Harris, wherever you are, thank you for that. So breathing in, breathing out. And then the chorus says, I am free. It goes like this. You can even repeat after me. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Take a deep breath, do it again. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Next section. I am free. 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 Breathing in and out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Just that last line, just say, breathing in. Breathing out. Take a breath last time. Breathing in. Breathing
out. So, breathing in, breathing out. Join me as I go to that place within, where I always was and always will be. That eternal place of that secret, sacred place of the Most High, where as I go into my deepest, most real self, I connect with the truth of my being, which is the source of all that is, which is present everywhere, which knows all things, which is endless and infinite love and power that has created everything out of itself in order to expand more into that love, which is the heritage of every person. And so knowing and feeling this power, connecting, fully connected, I am reassured that this source never fails. It is always a thought away. And this power, this love, this infinite peace, this infinite knowingness is the reality of my being and every being, everywhere. And so I speak my word into this presence for that sure and certain felt knowledge of that oneness on the part of every person within the sound of my voice, knowing that oneness that sets us free. For it is the truth that sets us free. And so feeling this power, feeling this love that keeps shining in the face of any problem, any adversity, right there in the face, I am free to turn my thoughts to choose that greater truth, a thought away. And so I give thanks for this palpable experience. I give thanks for that wisdom that is coming through Reverend Mary today, that is synchronized by that all-knowing mind and enabled to meet the needs of every single person as they listen this morning. That some new thought is opened, that some new possibility, that we say yes to that new possibility that is just occurring, maybe never thought of before. Giving thanks for this knowledge, for this experience, and for this wisdom, and coming through Reverend Mary and our wonderful Karen Drucker. I give my thanks and allow this to be, so I place it into the law, which always says yes. And so it is. Amen.
That was beautiful, Marilyn. Thank you. So as we celebrate this day of freedom, I want to just take a moment to acknowledge the people who have given their lives for our freedom, and also just acknowledge, on a holiday like this, the people that we've lost, and also what's going on in Florida, all those people. So we just light a candle today for America, and we spread our love through our hearts. So I wrote this song for 9/11, but, I think it's still appropriate for today. I'll light a candle in your memory, though I don't know who you are. And when I think about your family, I will wish upon a star. And I pray that they'll find peace someday. I pray they'll make it through. I'll light a candle in your memory to honor you. I'll light a candle for America. May we feel peace inside. We'll hold each other closer and wipe the tears we've cried. And I pray we'll bond together, and I pray that we'll pull through. I'll light a candle for America, for me here's the part you can sing with me. And we will light the world with our love. Every day I know that we can now. We will light this world with our love, with our love. And I'll light a candle for humanity, for all the good that's yet to come, as we overlook our differences and we join now as one. And I pray we'll come out stronger in this world I'm dreaming of. I'll light a candle for humanity, to be a world that's living in love. All right, sing with me now. And we will light the world, with our love. Every day I know that we will light the world, with our love. Know that we can, and we will light the world, with our love. And we will light the world, with our love, with our love. And I'll light a candle for humanity, for all the good that's yet to come, as we overlook our differences and we join now as one. And I pray we'll come out stronger in this world I'm dreaming of. I'll light a candle for humanity, to be a world that's living in love. So this is the sign language for I'll light a candle. I'll light a candle. I'll light a candle. Let's all light a candle.
Wow. Well, we are off to a start. Happy Independence Day and 4th of July, everybody. I'm delighted that you're welcome here with us this morning, and you really are. The reason that I called this talk Conceived in Liberty and dedicated to the proposition is because a couple of weeks ago, in a news broadcast, someone quoted the Gettysburg Address in its entirety. And you know, it's not very long. And I was so moved by it again. But there were things that I didn't know about that time when the Gettysburg Address was given. So it was November 19th, 1863. And it was just 4.5 months after the Union armies had defeated the Confederate armies at Gettysburg, but it was not yet the end of the Civil War, although it was the beginning of the end. I'm not sure they realized it yet. 15,000 people attended this dedication, including 6 state governors and a number of people from the press. It was only 87 years after the Declaration of Independence. And it was a mere 21 months after Lincoln had lost his 11-year-old son to typhoid, his favorite, his third son. His second son had died shortly before this one, Willie, was born. He died of tuberculosis. So Willie, the third of four, died at 11 years old. And this is less than 2 years later, and Mr. and Mrs. Lincoln were extremely distraught over the death of their son. What no one knew, including Lincoln at the time, was that he was coming down with smallpox that day. So this was a speech that he gave during the American Civil War at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery in Gettysburg on the afternoon of November 19th in 1863. And one of the reporters who attended the event described the location. I was never aware of this really either. Remember that this is 4.5 months after the battle at Gettysburg. He said, a full view of the battlefield with the Blue Ridge Mountains in the distance was spread out before us. And all about were traces of the fierce conflict. Rifle pits, cut and scarred trees, broken fences, pieces of artillery wagons and harness, scraps of blue and gray clothing, bent canteens, abandoned knapsacks, belts, cartridge boxes, shoes, and caps were still to be seen on nearly every side. The Baltimore Glee Club then sang an ode written for the occasion by Commissioner B.B. French of Washington, and Lincoln arose. Now, I want to say that, excuse me, I'm feeling very moved by the whole thing. Just the image of that battlefield, what it represented, how many people had died in the battles. Lincoln was not there to give the major oration. That was given by the Honorable Edward Everett, and as was customary, it was about 2 hours long. After he finished, there was this piece of music, and when Lincoln stood up to speak, he was really there only to make a few brief remarks of dedication. He spoke for 2 minutes, using only 271 words. This carefully crafted address came to be seen as one of the greatest and most influential statements of American national purpose, although on the day that it was given, it fell flat. People were disappointed in it. It seemed to them that he had simply restated things that everybody knew. And maybe it's only now from a distance that we realize how profound it was, what he said. Clark Carr, who was a member of the National Cemetery Commission, said that as he rose to speak, Lincoln's face had a sad, mournful, almost haggard expression. And yet, he recited the speech eloquently and without difficulty, even though he was coming down with smallpox. And this is what he said. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who have fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us here to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And then he sat down. Imagine being there. 15,000 people. They heard him, but they did not understand the magnitude of what he said. Now I think about that and how powerful it can be to us now to recognize what was hidden in those words, that democracy, any place in the world, is a fragile thing, that it is a gift not to be taken lightly. After so many years after the Declaration of Independence, I do think that we tend to be a little bit cavalier about the rights and responsibilities that balance those rights that we have here. And yet, this vision that was created by these men who risked their lives to betray their country of origin in England and declare themselves to be a free and independent nation, here after 87 years to Abraham Lincoln, this country was so young, so vulnerable still. And yet, the pull of that vision, what the United States aspired to become, and I hope still aspires to become, because it's a vision so huge, I don't know that we can ever get there, but we can continue to evolve toward it, yes? So the vision was for equality of self-governance, opportunity, and influence, a balance of rights and responsibilities among the states and in the nation, aligning with the idea, even though they didn't completely grasp it themselves at the time, that all people are created equal. And then I look at our own founder, Ernest Holmes, and the vision that he had of what his understanding of the creative law meant to humanity, not just to people in the United States, and not just to people who were Christian or Jewish or any of the religions of the founding fathers, such as they were, but to hold that there is a power for good in the universe that is available to every human being, and that we can use it because God is all there is. What a profound, enormous gift and vision to reiterate, because he wasn't the first to say it, but to reiterate to the world and to keep saying it over and over and over again throughout his lifetime, to try and assist all of us, himself included, to align with it and to embody it, to live from it. Science of mind, even in our time, is still young. And we are still pulled toward actually living out this vision of individual freedom through the recognition of the presence and power available and innate in everyone to align with the idea that God is all there is. In 1937, Ernest Holmes gave his Sunday morning, July 4th sermon, and this is a little piece of it. He says, ever since the dawn of civilization, ever since the first humans began to grasp the significant fact that they were individual beings in a universe that seemed to be more or less hostile to them, the entire search of the human mind, its whole endeavor, has been to get free from evil, from bondage, and the shackles of lack, want, fear, superstition, uncertainty, pain, disease, poverty, and fear of the hereafter. And because of this, human systems exist, organized philosophies spring up, sciences develop, educational systems are conducted, collective security is sought after, and religions are formulated to allay the fear of humankind relative to the soul. The great demand in the world today, he says, and I think this is still true of us today, is for a sense of security, freedom, and liberty. But we must be very certain that we do not swap one image of bondage for another. I've read a large part of the religious and philosophic history of the world, Holmes goes on, and I have noticed that almost invariably, when the world traded one kind of religion for another, it didn't get a good deal. The Pilgrim Fathers who came to the shores of New England came to worship God in their own way. But the moment they got there, everybody in the colony worshiped God in the way that the strong-minded members of that colony decided was the way to worship God. That was not freedom. Even in our newest religions, very frequently, we meet people who say they have now found the truth. And then, unfortunately, a large majority of them disclose that they have merely found an idea they liked and called it truth because they were egotistical, self-conscious, self-righteous people with an attitude of condemnation toward others. That is not the truth. In studying one system of thought after another that has transpired in the last 7,000 years of human history, I have noticed how extremely difficult it is for the human mind to conceive liberty without license, without egotism. And we can only give birth to freedom when we have conceived liberty. So, leaving Ernest for a few moments, what is that liberty that we're seeking, that balance of liberty with freedom, of not only choice, but also in balance with responsibility, with rights and with obligations or responsibilities? How do we hold those as a country? How do we hold those as a spiritual community? What is the vision that pulls us? So I was curious to see what the comparison would be between our global heart, our global vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, and the United States Declaration of Independence. What would be the comparisons? And so I took a couple of passages from each one. So from the Declaration of Independence, it says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." In the global vision for Centers for Spiritual Living, we say, we envision all people, all beings, all life as expressions of God. The Declaration of Independence goes on to say that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our global vision says we envision a world where each and every person has enough food, a home and a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement, and justice. Now, I look at those two, and I went on, but I'll stop there. I look at those two, and I think, wow, these visions are huge. They are enormous. They are immense. And we are called upon to take that gift and to live it. Those visions are so huge that they can't really be embodied by one person or a group of people. They can't really be realized in form completely, maybe. But as a vision, what they do is they hold something in front of us that continues and continues and continues to invite us forward, to get better, to aspire to more, to a greater realization of these huge visions, these great eternal truths. So we, at Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we have this inheritance as Americans and as religious scientists. What does that mean for us? So we've said that our own community values are love. That certainly grows out of the foundation statements for both of those documents. Community, spiritual community. What is a community but a group of people who are dedicated to the same vision, who are living it out, not only as words on a page or framed on a wall, but as a living understanding of what the community is there for, what it means to be a community holding those visions, those values. We've said that we value integrity. To me, integrity is more than just honesty. It's also being in alignment in mind and heart, being in balance with our rights and our responsibilities, with our freedoms and our obligations. Living in integrity means to be whole and undivided, individually and collectively, in our principles, in our dedication to our principles. Now, we don't expect to live them out perfectly, of course, and then to spiritual growth. So not to assume, so that's the last of our 4 values at Golden Gate, spiritual growth. So not to just assume that because we've learned something about spiritual mind treatment, about creative law, about living with an awareness that God is all there is, that that's all there is to our spiritual growth, but to recognize that we here are still in a process of unfoldment that is powerful and significant and important, not only to us individually or to our spiritual community or to Centers for Spiritual Living or to the United States or to the world itself, but to every expression of the divine here on this planet, because this is all we know right now, to that wholeness. And so in recognition that we don't have it perfectly together, Holmes says, freedom then will come only in such degree as we no longer do anything that hurts anyone. That does not mean we have come to become spiritual or intellectual doormats. I do not believe that. Nothing in my belief causes me to feel that God or the creative principle wants me to suffer for myself or for anyone else. Then Holmes says this, I do it. I have always done it. Perhaps I always shall in this world, but I know that it is wrong. How can the Supreme Being desire my suffering without imposing that suffering? And what kind of a universe has a God who suffers and imposes suffering in a changeless reality? The whole theology and religious reaction of people who believe that arises out of morbidity and fear and superstition and nothing else. Well, he says, it is not so, and still we suffer. Why? Because we do not understand. We might say that the world suffered darkness until somebody discovered electricity. It suffered crawling around on the face of the earth until technology was developed so we could fly and drive. It suffers limitation, not because the infinite imposes limitation, but because the world does not understand its freedom. And when it begins to develop its freedom, seldom does it do it directly. It generally creates a new bondage. When we kill the old devil, we're very likely to give birth to a new and more subtle one. War is more to be feared than ever before because we have more knowledge without more wisdom. And final freedom will only come as it is tied to divine wisdom. And then he closes with this. I believe that the true spirit of democracy is a spiritual conception where there is freedom, liberty without license, and a flexibility that makes evolution possible on the foundation of freedom. As we enter into the spirit of the meaning of Independence Day, the day when liberty symbolically was conceived, the day when freedom objectively in our country was announced, we should think of it not merely as a political system or form of government, but we should think of it as a spiritual conception, an idea in the divine mind itself, taking form in human experience. We should learn to love that liberty, and in loving the idea, we should learn to tenderly and prayerfully handle the embodiment of that idea and nourish it always to greater strength. We should really conceive again the great spiritual conception of that rugged man of God who said that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. That speech of Abraham Lincoln's that was given in 1863, Ernest Holmes was born in 1887, within living memory of that speech. And so when he developed the science of mind, when he taught this philosophy to us, he stood on the shoulders of all the great world philosophers that he developed his spiritual philosophy from by putting together the threads of what they taught. But he stood on the shoulders of giants right here, not perfect men by any stretch of the imagination or perfect women, but he stood on the shoulders of giants who had already accomplished enormous things and knew that we were far from finished yet. He once said that human beings, he quoted a story where the human beings had been entrusted by the angels with this great gift of recognizing that God was within everything. And the angels said, well, where shall we put this recognition? Where can we put it until human beings are ready for it? Where can we put it so that human beings won't discover it too soon? And God said, we'll put it within them. They'll never think to look there. And so I want to close on a light note. So rather than from the ridiculous to the sublime, the other way around, because I usually begin with something humorous. I hope this isn't a true story. On one Independence Day, little Jimmy's mother and father, Julie and Frank, were hosting an extended family 4th of July party at their house out in the country. And one of the special treats of that year would be setting off the fireworks they had bought earlier out of state, because the fireworks in their state were illegal to set off. However, they lived out in the country. It wasn't a dry season. They felt like it would be safe. So they got these fireworks. Well, shortly before all the relatives were to arrive, one of the cousins called saying that their neighbor's plans had just fallen through, and could they bring them along to the picnic? They even had extra food they'd bring. Well, sure, Frank responded generously, the more the merrier. But as they arrived, upon meeting the dad of that guest family, Frank discovered that the man was a police officer. And so Frank turned as innocently as he could to his young son, Jimmy, and with quickly whispered instructions to grab the paper bag of fireworks sitting in the kitchen and hide it somewhere. And so Jimmy nodded and disappeared, and Frank re-engaged in the conversation with the family about the meal that was to come for the day. Now, the guest family had brought some chicken along to grill, and so Frank told them the gas grill in the backyard was all set to use. All they had to do was go ahead and turn on the gas and push the ignition button with the lid still closed. And as they headed out to the back, Jimmy reappeared, and so Frank, relieved, hurried over to Jimmy, saying, "That was close. That fellow's a police officer, and he almost saw the fireworks. Did you hide him real well?" "Oh, yeah, Dad," Jimmy said. "Don't worry. Nobody will ever think to look in the grill." So, on that note, as we come to a close this morning, I want to remind you to be mindful that it's dry out there. And if you have fireworks, this is not the year to use them. Lake Shasta and Mount Shasta is burning. And so we want to recognize that that can happen here and be really mindful. Celebrate, be safe, appreciate all that's been given to us, and be respectful and mindful of each other and of this beautiful land and this beautiful state and this beautiful area that we live in. And so as we conclude, I'm going to invite you to join me in stepping into our morning affirmation. This is our freedom from our own inner limitations that we're sharing with this affirmation. And this is it. I choose freedom from old patterns and the limiting beliefs supporting them. I let go of my cherished fears and judgments and put my trust in the infinite rather than in appearances. I claim liberty and justice for all people. I invite you to say that with me now, together. I choose freedom from old patterns and the limiting beliefs supporting them. Breathe. I let go of my cherished fears and judgments and put my trust in the infinite rather than appearances. I claim liberty and justice for all people. Yes. And so now I invite you to join me in blessing the offering. So this is the time on Sunday morning when we conceivably receive an offering, but we also bless all the offerings that have been given to us over this past week. All the offerings that have come to Golden Gate in the form of money or prayers or volunteerism or love. And so we want to bless all of those gifts. And we want to bless all of the gifts that you may want to give this morning. So just in case you do, I am putting the text to donate phone number in the comments section next to this video this morning. So if you're watching it, you may be able to see those comments and add to them yourself. You'll be able to see that I've added that. And what you'll do is you'll send to that number, you'll text to that phone number, just the number, no $, no decimal point, just the number of what you want to donate, and they'll take care of the rest. And as we do that, we're going to bless our offering together. So I invite you to put your hands over your heart and to repeat this after me, not only for Golden Gate's blessings received this week and gifts, but also those you've received. Let's say this, for those we give and those we receive. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time, beginning here with me and mine. And so it is. Thank you, my darlings. And I want to share a few announcements with you. Next Sunday is a very big Sunday for us. There are three major, huge things going on. The first is our physical reopening to live services. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to stop broadcasting to you. We're going to, in fact, expand our broadcasts, but we have to test it out and make sure it works. So we will be broadcasting beginning next Sunday, hopefully, to both YouTube and Facebook. So watch your emails this week so you get your information about where to go if you want to watch on YouTube to see our live broadcast, or to come here as you would normally do, or to come and see us live if you are in Marin County. Next Sunday at 10 a.m., come to the Ross Valley Masonic Center. The address is 1122 Magnolia Avenue in Larkspur, and we will be there to enjoy our first live service together. Now, if you have been vaccinated, there is nothing special that you need to do. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to socially distance. You don't have to worry about hugs or handshakes unless you feel inclined to say, thanks anyway, I love you from a distance, because that's perfectly okay. We're not required to hug or handshake. And you can still wear a mask or socially distance. If you are not vaccinated, then we encourage you to do that. But we are not asking for proof of vaccination. Now that things have been relaxed in the state of California, we are allowed legally to go ahead and do this. And so we're very much looking forward to it. In fact, some of us are spending some time tomorrow over there figuring out how to make it all work. And so fingers crossed, next Sunday, 10 a.m., join us there. Following the service, head on over to the Corte Madera Community Center Park, right behind the Corte Madera, or beside the Corte Madera Community Center. Beside it is probably a better description, because that's where we'll be meeting, where we held Sunday services for a long time. We weren't able to do that at this time. We've got a lease for 6 months over at the Ross Valley Masonic. But we're holding our picnic over there for a variety of good reasons. So if you did not receive the Evite, please email Lori Greer at lorimorningglory@gmail.com. That's Lori, Morning Glory, all one word, all lowercase, at gmail.com, to let her know if you'll be bringing an appetizer, a salad, or a dessert, and just generally to RSVP. I'll put her email in the comments. Please do bring your own lawn chair, just in case. And then, if you are taking the new member class with me, it will be on Zoom next Sunday at 2:30. After that, it'll be from 1 to 3. But next Sunday at 2:30, if you're signed up, you should have received the handouts and the Zoom link for next Sunday. And I will see you on Zoom at 2:30 for our very first new member class in quite a long time. So you can email administrator@ggcsl.org if you would like to attend and haven't figured out how to do that yet. And Sonia will help you get everything you need so that you'll be ready to do it. And finally, please join us this morning for our coffee, conversation, and connection time immediately after the service. I'm putting those that link and those info bits right there in the comments also, so that you can have that right easily at your fingertips. And I hope that you will come and join me there. That is online on Zoom. And as Karen begins to sing the final song, I'm going to preempt her just a little tiny bit with this photo of our dear Mama Carol with the new baby, little Will. And there she is, looking as happy as can be. So Karen, take it away, hon.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Carol as a grandmother, she's going to be fabulous. Well, I think I'm called to sing this today. For years I would talk about how I wanted to change the world, but I always left it up for somebody else to do. But then I finally realized that I needed to take a stand, and that by changing my thinking, I could change my life. And that's how I could change the world. So on this day of freedom, let's remember, let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. And I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. One more time. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. That's what freedom is. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th of July, everyone. Thanks for being here with us this morning. Thank you, Karen. Wow. I hope you come and join me for coffee afterwards. And if not, if you're going off to do wonderful things with your family, just have the most marvelous day and really just savor every bit of it. We love you. Namaste. Bye, everyone.